If that goal does not give you a touch of tachycardia, you're not stricken out yet. Are your goals audacious enough? How do you know what are the right goals for you? Welcome to another episode with Dr. Latifat. Listen, if you want 2025 to be your best year financially yet, we are going to have to do things differently than last year. So on this episode today, I want to share with you guys 5 habits that I believe that has to be part of your routine if you really are committed to creating the most audacious year yet when it comes to your finances. I have been the founder of MoneyFit MD now for a couple of years. I don't know, 5 years, 4 years. And it really is profound to me that when I see people that are accomplishing their big financial goals, there are certain things that seem to be very, very common or habits or patterns that they do. And when I see people that are kind of like stuck in the I wanted to do blah, blah, blah phase, there is a huge difference between both of those. The other people that I want to highlight to you, which you may be one of this, by the way, no shame, no guilt, none of that stuff. We're just here to grow together. But there are also some people that in their finances, they kind of seem to be plateaued, where year in, year out, they're continuing to do the same thing, get the same results every single year. And that is okay. There's nothing wrong with having reproducible results. However, if you know that it's starting to feel stale, old, boring, it is starting to feel like you're not actually stretching, you're not becoming a different version of yourself, then it may mean that your goals are too small for you. And what do I mean by different version of yourself? I mean, I'm Latifat. I've been the same like Project Gray Latifat to like 1980 something, right? But what I mean is that the way that I picture our life is that there are different versions of ourselves that is supposed to get through this life. Okay. So when I look at Latifat from 1990, I don't know, 2019, she's very different from Latifat 2025. If I look at Latifat in 2024, she's very, very different from Latifat 2025. And the core of my being is still the same thing. I'm still the same person. Like literally, I would meet people that are like, oh my goodness, you're different but the same, right? And the reason why I am different is because I've chosen to stretch myself. I've chosen to lift weights figuratively that I may not have been able to 3 years ago. I've shared with you guys in the past that 8 years ago, I knew nothing about money. I did not even know what a 401k was. Like many physicians, I was earning good income, but still in this paycheck to paycheck mindset. I was earning money, but I had no assets. My net worth was nothing to write home about, right? And so for me, that was my story. But every single year since then, I have seen changes and changes and changes that, interestingly enough, is not making me a person that is completely different from me. It is just making me more me, which means less people pleasing, more Latifat, maybe a little kinder. I don't know. Y'all can be the judge of it, right? So I am changing. Like, if you think about me as being a knife, I'm getting sharper as a knife. And the reason why is because I have given this knife, which is me, challenges that are worth making me become better. And what I found is that if you're not exposing yourself to challenges or you're not optimizing the challenges in your life well enough, you're not going to be a sharper version of yourself. You're not going to be a better version of yourself. You're not going to be like a more dynamic version of yourself. And that would really be sad because there are things that you're meant to do in this world. There are people that you're meant to impact in this world that when you're playing small, when you're dabbling, when you're not elevating yourself to the level that you could be, you are literally preventing yourself from becoming the who that could help the other who's, which means that you are staying away. It's like imagine a circle where we're all meant to do the parts that we're meant to play. And you're like, nope, not tag, I'm not it, right? You're literally are stepping outside of that circle and preventing yourself from being the person that could help people become their own versions. And I'm not just talking about strangers only. I'm talking about like your kids, your neighbors, your family. Like When people encounter you, are they changed because they've encountered you? Are they better because you're in your life and vice versa? Right? And if that's not the case, it may be because you bought into the lies that were meant to just be like boring, still, icky, the same, nothing's changing, nothing's moving, all of that stuff. And that is the lie from the depths of hell, right? And so the question I have for this episode and what we're going to answer in this episode is what are some things that you can do to help yourself achieve audacious goals this year? Which means that you're helping yourself stand in front of a challenge that has the ability to change you. So there are 5 points that I'm going to make that I hope will be helpful for you. And number one is kind of what the title already said, which is you have to create audacious goals. And what I mean by audacious goal is if that goal does not give you a touch of tachycardia, you're not stricken out yet, right? If you think about it, when you go into the gym, you want to lift weights. That's going to help refine you a little bit. That's going to make your muscles a little bit more toned. And if you're carrying the weights that was comfortable for you in 2024, you're not going to be having the six packs or refining of your packs. And in fact, if you don't continue to challenge yourself, your six packs are going to start to go away. So it's not just about getting like more six packs, which that's not a thing, but it's more about like in order to maintain the state, you're going to have to like get yourself through challenges that actually help shape you. So are your goals audacious enough? I'm not talking about goals that give you like A fever or A flutter. I'm talking about goals that just helps you be more refined, that helps you have something to have hope about, that helps you have something to dream about, something to challenge you about. And the question that normally will come up from this is that how do you know what are the right goals for you? And what I remind people is that the goals that are audacious, it has to be audacious for your life, not for someone else's life. It has to be aligned with your life, like your calling, that inner sense of like unraveling, like that drawing deep, calling out to deep, like that version of yourself that is being called into something different. It has to be a part of that. So it has to be audacious, number one. Number two is if you want to accomplish those goals this year, you gotta write it down. You've got to write it down. I know you're smart and all that, but you are like, you have so much stuff that you're trying to remember that you just need to write your goals down. Because when you're not writing it down, you're wasting energy, you're wasting time. The time that you could be spending accomplishing, you're trying to create, you're trying to recollect with, right? And there is data that shows that when you have your goals written down, you have a higher chance of accomplishing it. So my question to you is that have you written down your goals? Because if you have not written down your new goals for 2025, you're going to be less likely to accomplish it. So if you need to pause this episode right now and start to create those goals that are audacious, but also now make sure you write it down. The number three thing is you cannot just write down your goals and go hide it under the pillow. That's not how this works. If you ignore it, a goal that's forgotten is a goal that you ain't going to achieve, right? And what I found, like if you look at, at people that are able to accomplish like wild, crazy massive goals every year, they don't take it and hide it under the table. They take it and then look at it like frequently. And even if I look at my own life and I compare the years where I've been able to create even more crazy goals compared to those where I wasn't as much, it literally like that difference, like reminding myself, refreshing my mind daily so that I can know what is at stake. So that when I am encountering opportunities, when I'm encountering challenges, I know what's at stake here. So my question for you is like, are you reviewing your goals? Is it in a place where you're going to be able to see it and remember it and recollect it? Or are you hiding it in a place where you're not going to remember it? Right? What the only time you look at your goals is January when you're writing it and December when you're about to write it again. Right? That's only going to lead to like slowed movements for you. And the way that I picture it is that there's so much that is available for you this year, that God has literally created opportunities for you this year. But until you decide to pick them up, they're never going to work. Until you decide that it's time for you to move forward, it is not going to be accomplished. So you literally are leaving the blessings of your life, the gifts that you could be getting on the table, all because you decided that I ain't going to review it, I ain't going to look at it. I'm just going to be me, old me, not new me. Okay. So number one, is you have to have audacious goals that are aligned. Number two is you got to write them down. Write them down, make it so plain that if a kindergartner that can read takes it, they can execute on it. You got to write it down. And then number three is you have to review it. Number four is so important. This is something that I do. It's something that I see that the most successful people do. And it's you need a coach. You need a coach. Like, what is that part of your life that you're trying to grow? You need a coach. You want to grow your finances in 2025. You want to take actions. You want to go from becoming a person that's just like reading, learning, hyper consuming to someone that's actually creating the life that they want. You need a coach. And people will ask me, like, what exactly does a coach do? And I'll tell you what I do as a coach. So I have a community for women physicians called the Money for Empty Money School. People come in and they're like, Latifat, we want to work together as a group over the next 12 months. And what we do is every single week we're meeting together on Zoom as a group. And I asking, where are you? Where are you trying to go? We remove some of the challenges that you're having. We scale up your goal. Again, you got to have a little tachycardia, not VTAC. So I make sure that your goals are not too comfortable because that's a mistake that people make. And, we stretch you a little bit in a way that like it's nice and comfortable. Like, you're like, but people are crazy. I know. But that's what we do. We stretch you a little bit because that's how you accomplish amazing things. That's how our women physicians are doing like things in their life that was possible a year ago. They're like doing amazing things. They're investing in a way that they hadn't before. They're taking vacations. They're building their dream home. They're negotiating like crazy. They're buying assets. They're growing assets. They're bringing their family along. They're having conversations that they haven't had before. They're opening their own practice. They're opening businesses. They're stop dabbling. They're doing what they need to do because, again, we stretch and that's what your coach should do. But we also help you find blind spots because we all have blind spots. I have blind spots too. That's why I have coaches, really. And the goal of a coach is to help you find the blind spot of what you're not looking at. The thoughts that you did not even know that literally may be the reason why you're stalling and it's taking you so long to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish. But making sure that the coach that you have is living a life or at least aligning well and living integrity for themselves is important. I'll give you an example. Like you may be someone that you like, I want to work on my goals. I want to work on my finances. I want to grow asset. I want freedom. I want to be able to negotiate better. I want my money to work for me. I'm earning good income, but it doesn't feel like it. If that's you, then one of the things that you want to do is you may want to coach. But the mistake you may make is finding a coach that also got money drama by themselves. They're not solving the problems that you're trying to solve, right? And it's not like they cannot help you. However, it makes it harder for them to help you, right? I personally, like when I'm looking for a coach, I'm looking for who is creating what I want. So, for example, if I'm trying to, like when I started Money Fit MD, my question was I wanted a coach that was coaching people and had a successful business by themselves. Like, you cannot tell me that you'd be able to help me create a seven-figure business if you've never created that before, right? So, if you have a coach that hasn't acquired the tools to create it for themselves, it makes it harder for them to be able to help you create what you want to create. Okay. Then the last but not the least is they have accountability that propels them forward. One thing I would tell you is we all have brains. And as long as you have a brain, there's a gravitational pull to not accomplishing what you could accomplish. And the point of accountability is so that you can have people or pairs to keep you accountable so that when you say that you're going to do this in a month, you have someone that's like checking up on you to make sure that you've actually done that. And when the problem is that when you don't have accountability, you're left alone to figure it out yourself. And as human beings, especially as busy women physicians, things just come up. So if you're someone that's like 2025, I want to create a life that's different. I want to create audacious goals. I want to have financial outcomes that's different from what I've done in 2025. I would highly suggest you go through those 5 key points that are simple, yet will have the chance, the opportunity potentially to change your finances. And if you're someone that you're a woman physician or your dentist, and like, Lucifa, I want help. I have those goals. I've been thinking about it. I've been learning over the years, but I need help to be able to take things to the next level, to be able to actually accomplish them, to be able to take action so that I can create a 2025 that is completely different, so I can negotiate differently, so I can diversify, so I can launch that business. If that's you, then I invite you to check out the Money School, which is where we help women physicians create the financial life that they want. My goal personally is to help people create what they haven't been able to create in the last 3 to 5 years. And the reason why that's important is that your time and your life is maybe the most important thing that you own. And so if we learn how to redeem the time, if we learn how to create things that not only would take 5 years and be able to create it in 1 year, or maybe it would take you 10 years and be able to create it in 1 year, that, in my opinion, is money well spent. And that is what we committed to doing inside of the Money School. So if we can be of service, you can go ahead to moneyfeedmd.com/call. We'll schedule a call with us. Let's see how we can help you create the life that you want. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If this has been helpful, I want you to think about 3 other women physicians that you can share this with, because as you grow, it should be a good thing for your community. And this is how that happens. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.